Hey YouTubers, this is Marshmallow, and I told you the other day I had 50 pounds of squash at 48 cents a pound. Well, I took some of it and I made 30 pints of canned squash and white syrup. Okay, I already had 7 pounds about that was roasted and was using it for another recipe. So today we're making squash butter. And I took the 7 pounds of squash, put it in a big heavy kettle, and I pureed it up in a blender. You can see in here. I added 2 cups of apple juice, and I made 2 cups of brown sugar. I'm adding a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg, a teaspoon of ground ginger, and a half a teaspoon of ground cloves. And this goes in there. Now you can add more as it cooks. You can taste it. This is just the basic recipe, and I will put it down in the box below so you can adjust it. So you can make half of it, you can make a whole thing, you can make a double batch. You just have to test it every so often and adjust the seasonings and maybe some brown sugar. So let's add our seasonings. Now we're going to take it to the stove and we're going to start cooking it. And I will be back in just a little bit when I get it started and get it bubbling, and we can watch the process and then we'll go from there. Okay. Now we've got our squash in this. I use a 7 canner because it's thick and I don't want it to stick to it. So I'm going to let it come up to a boil. Then I'm going to reduce it and simmer it for at least 45 minutes, if not longer. It's awfully thick, so you got to watch. It will splutter and spew, and you stir it to keep it from doing this. And just watch and don't have children next to you, because it will spit out all over the place, and it will. Good. I would have made this yesterday, but I went down to get the jars to put it in as I wanted to can it afterwards, and found out my bushel of green tomatoes were no longer green. They were beautiful and ripe, and so I had to can up 6 quarts of these. And that pretty much took care of my day yesterday, trying to get them lugged upstairs and done. But, you know, you never know what bounties you'll get, you know, and you never know what blessings. And it's a blessing, you know, at 6 quarts I didn't have. And that's whole tomatoes. But we will be back when we get ready to put these in jars. You can put them in jars and give them out as gifts, or and it will last for 2 months, or you can can them up and put them in your supplies. The dogs are welcome to look over it, but we will be back later. Hey there. We've got our puree, salt squash cooked down. I did it for like 45 minutes, and I mean, it is super thick. I have sterilized jars here, jelly jars and things like that, little small ones. And I'm going to do about a dozen of these right here. Probably have more than a dozen to fill a dozen, but I've only got like a dozen lids left. And I'm just going to do this, do a hot water bath, 45 minutes, and then we'll have apple butter canned for this winter. Plus, I'll probably have quite a bit left for breakfast and everything this week. So I am going to fill up some of these. Now, I've filled up 3 so far. You can look to see it's really thick. I just took it up to the bottom ring. I didn't want to go any higher than that. And then I've got to wait till my lids come up to heat back here. And then we're going to process them over here in a hot water bath. So when I get this started and done, we'll be back and look at our process. And got some work to do here, and make sure make sure that you have a lid on this at all times when you're cooking that. I took the lid off of this that I had over, and I would come and constantly stir, put the lid back on. There was almost a half a jar of splatter, as I call it, on the underside of that lid. So keep it closed and keep it safe, especially around children. Okay, now I've got my jars filled, and I just filled them up to this first line on there. They're all different sizes, but I still just went to the same line on these right here. Leave a headspace there. These lids are hot. The rings are clean. I just screw them down hand tight. And then I'm going to start placing them into the water bath just as soon as it starts to roll and boil here. Oh, I tasted it a while ago. This is so good. You know, God's been good to me. What time I was sick, I got to look through the internet. I would see things that I liked. I'd make notes of what it is I would want to do. And then I took it and made it my own recipe by adding, subtracting. I'm going to get another ring here. Things that I like to it. Or making a twist. And like, even though we didn't have apples this year, we do have an abundance of squash around. So these are all tightened, hand tight, just easy like. Now I'm waiting for that to come to a rolling boil, and then I will place these in. I could just put the lid on it and let it make sure it comes to a boil. These bath canners, I never thought much of them until I found out that you really can do a lot with those. Especially like for jams, jellies, butters. You know, you don't need the heavy pressure canner. And you've got lots of acid in here. And it just makes it your own recipe when you can do it the way that you like. So when this comes to a rolling boil, I'll be putting in my my jars for 45 minutes. We'll see you then. Okay, I've got my water up to a rolling boil. It's on high. I've got my canner set to go, and you're putting these in. Okay, I forgot to put my vinegar in here to keep my water from making my glasses or my jars cloudy, so I'm going to put a little bit in right now. Just a few tablespoonfuls. Now make sure it's coming to a rolling boil. Okay. It's on high and rolling boil. I've got my timer set. Now I've just got to clean up the kitchen, and we'll come back and see what it looks like. And I mean, there's nothing better than everyone's. Okay. We have here 12 half pints of squash butter. They all sealed, and as I was taking them out, they all went ping, ping, ping right down the line. So I'm waiting for them to cool. They're really, really hot. Plus I had another pint, a whole pint, and another one of these canning jars. These little half pints I put in the fridge for our personal use, through the week. But I just wanted to let you know that everything has come out perfect, and I hope you enjoyed this video.